This is the video on the hippocampus. The hippocampus is an important part of the limbic system that plays many roles, from regulating emotions to forming memories. From the Greek hippos, which means horse, and campos, which means sea monster, the hippocampus was named for its resemblance to a seahorse. The hippocampal formation is made up of the hippocampus, the dentate gyrus, and the subicular cortex. Each brain contains 2 hippocampi in the medial parts of each temporal lobe. The hippocampal neurons are mostly pyramidal neurons, meaning they have dendrites that go to both the apex and the base of the neuron. The axonal ones reach toward the dentate gyrus, while the basal dendrites reach to the lateral ventricles. Information from the hippocampus is then taken to other areas of the brain through the alveus and into the entorhinal cortex and fimbria fornix. The hippocampus is organized by both layers and fields. When considering the layers, it's important to understand how the pyramidal cells are connected to the basket cells at differing depths. The deepest layer is the alveus, or external plexiform layer, which contains pyramidal axons and fibers that carry input from the entorhinal cortex. Above that is the stratum oriens, which contains the basket cells. The next layer is the pyramidal layer, which, as the name suggests, contains the pyramidal neurons. From there is the stratum radiatum, the stratum lacunosum, and the stratum moleculaire. These contain the aforementioned apical dendrites and more fibers coming from the entorhinal cortex. The fields are an important aspect of organization in the hippocampus because they show the efficient layout of circuitry. These are CA1, 2, and 3. As shown in this cross-sectional slice of the hippocampus, the fibers from the entorhinal cortex synapse on the granule cells in the dentate gyrus. Their axons, or mossy fibers, bring information to the CA3 pyramidal cells. The axons of the CA3 cells, called Schaefer collaterals, pass all the way through CA2 and synapse on the CA1 pyramidal cells. This is also outlined in the synaptic plasticity video. In general, information in the hippocampus is sent unidirectionally. This indirect pathway is outlined in this graphic. In the upper layers of the hippocampus, however, like the stratum radiatum, lacunosum, and moleculaire, there is a more direct or perforant pathway with fibers from the entorhinal cortex synapsing directly on the CA1 pyramidal cells. Though a relatively small part of the brain, the complex structure and circuitry can only mean there is extensive function in the hippocampal formation. It does everything from regulating emotions and hormonal and autonomic activities, to integrating memories to be sent elsewhere for long-term storage, and it aids in spatial navigation. The specialized pyramidal cells of the hippocampus are also crucial for synaptic plasticity as they are responsible for long-term potentiation, LTP. Essentially, the hippocampus is highly complex and responsible for many different functions. Not bad for a little seahorse. This ends the video on the hippocampus.